And what I want to talk about today is um, concentric circles of wisdom. And this is something that it just kind of came to me as I was doing all of this work, preparing for this live stream, working through the content. And the content came from two spaces. One was a year's worth of my LinkedIn articles, and the other was the transcripts of 145 interviews and 18 panels from the Real 50 Over 50 live stream interviews that I host weekly now for 3 years. And what I was seeing was, um, I'm going to get a little personal here, but I saw where it started and the people that it started with, and they were my core people. These are the people that have been in my life for many years, and it's way beyond professional relationships. These are my friends. These are healers. These are people that have helped me through some of the best and worst times of my life over the last, I'd say, 15 years, maybe a little more. Most of them are people that I met through my business. So, just reflecting on that, this year I'm in business for 20 years. And, it took the first couple of years to really zero in on what I did. But, the people that I have met through having a business, a virtual business. Some of them I've never even met in person, or I met them once briefly at an event somewhere. Um, but that doesn't matter. They're really important in my life. They're important in my son's life, um, and I'm going to share some of them throughout this live stream. But this is where it started. I created a list of 50 people, 50 women that I know personally who were doing good work in the world, and not enough people knew about them because they didn't have the $10 million to get on the Forbes lists. So I decided to create Donna's list. And from those first 50 people, this has grown almost exclusively through introductions. They connected me to their people. And I started to see this, like looking back and reflecting on this, and inviting the tools to show me things that I couldn't see on my own because I was close in so many ways, because it was my work. It was my conversations. Those interviews are conversations that I'm having, and these people are people that I'm close to. They're important in my life. And what I started to do was see it almost in like these 3D circles. They're not funnels. They're not like click, 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 get a series of emails. There are these like constantly moving 3D concentric circles of wisdom, of knowledge, of connection, that they run independently, and they kind of gracefully click where they need to click, and things just start to happen. And when this first came about, I I was it wasn't me. This was not planned. I was in the middle of doing something else. I had tons going on in my life. There was no time to take on something of this magnitude and just kind of wing it. And it wasn't an option. It's one of those things that once you see it, you can't unsee it. Once you start doing it, you can't stop doing it. I've tried to get help, but it just never seemed right, because I needed to be the one that held the conversations. I needed to be the one that held the relationships. And yeah, outsourcing that at that time just didn't feel right. It might feel right in the future. I don't know. But right now, it just feels like I need to be in the middle of it all. And I'm in the middle of those concentric circles. And it's a really nice place to be. But when I first started this, I didn't know why. I didn't know what it was clearly a gift, because it is, aside from my son, this is the most meaningful thing that has ever been given to me. And I don't take that lightly. I spend a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of thought goes into everything that I do with this. And it's taken me a while to do something with all of these interviews, because I didn't want to just do something random. I don't believe in random marketing. And I didn't, it had to have meaning, it had to be in the right place. And now feels like the right time, and Substack feels like the right place. So I'm just going with it. And I feel good about it. And I'm usually kind of I usually choose well when it comes to these things. So I'm confident that it is the right time and place. But I just want to share some of these people, and I want to share like like the clarity that I have gotten out of this from when I started 3 years ago. I mean, I was literally told that it needed to be pure and it needed to be genuine. And I understood immediately what genuine was, because I'm just me. Wherever I show up, I'm me. I am genuine. But I didn't know what pure meant. That's not really something I associate with myself. But the purity meant that it had to be um, pure around the conversations, pure around how I shared them. They don't need to be polished and glossy and highly edited, which is a good thing because I really hate editing. And I don't like. I just don't feel like with this project I can hand this off to somebody else to edit and find the best parts of the conversations. I just think I still need to be in the middle of it. And I wouldn't enjoy that, and I want to enjoy every part of this. So they're going to be unpolished. They're going to be raw. They're going to be real. And I wasn't even looking for the phrase "the real 50 over 50." I was looking for a domain that was available that made sense. And I was able to buy that for $1, which is what really pissed me off, because I should have had to pay for that. I should have had to negotiate. That should not have just been available in every extension on GoDaddy. Somebody should have thought of this before me. And I'm glad they didn't, but it just proves that we need to be more visible. We need to be more vocal, and we need to be on a platform that honors the ability for us to own our voice, to own our content, to own our list, to be able to have our work be portable, where we can take it someplace else. If Substack turns out to not be the place down the road, we don't know. The way the tools are going, it could change on a day-to-day basis. So we need to create content that we could move from one spot to another. And this is all part, as I was thinking through this, these are all different levels of these concentric circles where we come together, but we come together without walls. It's not a closed community. We're doing all of this out in the open. There's the ability to connect with anyone, the way we were able to connect with people in 2009 and 2010 in the early days of social media without advertising getting in the way. And I think that we have the opportunity to organically grow without even trying. I have not even begun my connection strategies yet, and that's going to start next week. But very interesting people have already found me, and my videos, these live videos, I went into an incognito browser, and I just Googled my name, and these videos are coming up above LinkedIn. The only thing that is not coming up above these videos and some of the articles is my website. Everything else, all of the social platforms, podcasts I've been on, media I've been in, it's all below Substack. So this platform is built for SEO. So just structuring your content, for SEO, and posting it as on here is really all you need to do, and it's coming up. So I'm keeping an eye on that. I'm also keeping an eye on how these the content that I'm creating here is coming up in AI searches as well. So I'm just excited about all of this, because this is the work I've been doing for a long time. A lot of it has been fighting uphill because, um, you know, I never did this the way most people did. I did it based on conversations and listening first, and building relationships, and connecting people, and not through ads, not through push marketing, but from really knowing who you want to connect with, understanding who your audience is. And audience isn't just the next client. The audience is everybody who's in your ecosystem. Like, how can you connect with them and how can you help first? And and then everything just happens. I mean, there is no sales process because people connect with you. And then if they need what you have, they're going to hire you because they trust you, because you've already shown yourself to be somebody that they want to be connected to. So, um, knowing that I can expand my business in that direction, expand these interviews in that direction, and keep building these concentric circles, it just feels so good. It feels so aligned. It feels like all of the things that I have been questioning for the last 3 years about, am I doing the right thing? Is this what people need? Everything's changing so fast. And why the hell did I say yes to all of this? It all kind of clicked into place in the last couple of months. And like, there's not a doubt left in me that I'm doing the right thing, that this is what needs to happen, that I know I can support many, many people in growing in this direction. And that gets me very excited. And, I want to help. I've worked with all kinds of people over the years, but it's really settled in to women over 50 who have established businesses, who have a lot of content. And, when they are told by either people or content or society that they want to that they should reinvent themselves, they dig their heels in and say, "I don't wanna. I like who I am. I don't wanna change who I am. I just want to know more people." And these are the people that I want to work with, that I want to feature, that I want to be involved with. And, it's not just about clients, it's about that we kind of lock arms and do this together. And 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 it's not just women, because we've got somebody here live on the chat, Brad Walsh. He's going to be the first male interviewed in my Real 50 Over 50 live stream. He's got, I think, June 10th is his interview date. And he was invited into the fold because what he does is interview women. He's interviewed over 800 women, and he's now moving he's writing a book. He's just finished the first draft of his book, and he's applying for a TED Talk. He probably doesn't want me to share that, but too bad, I already did. And a TEDx talk. And he is going to create a community for men to learn how to be allies for women. And that's incredibly important work, because we need that. And it's all part of these concentric circles. And like, working over the last couple of weeks creating this series, it was an invitation for me to go back and look at my own work, and to go back and listen, and and reconnect to these interviews that I've done for the last 3 years, and seeing them collectively, and seeing what AI tools brought to the surface was just like another layer of the concentric circles, because I'm so close to this. The AI tools are impartial, and it's just pulling up the things that it deems people want to see, which, when I now see that version of this with what I know within myself, it's incredibly powerful. And I looked at, just those two libraries that I created, that I'm calling living libraries. And one is my work and one is these interviews. I just looked at them, and I was like looking at all the different ways that I can turn this content into other things. And I'm not talking about recycling and pasting on 5 different platforms. And I'm talking about, what else could it be? Who needs this? Like, how can this morph into something else? What comes after that? What do I need to pull from before to enrich this? That's how I was looking at this. And again, with the content, it was concentric circles. It wasn't a funnel. It wasn't linear. It was each piece moves on its own, and then they just kind of like find ways to connect in the right spot. And I allowed that to happen. I stepped back. I didn't control it, and it showed me what it needed to be. And that was just incredible. And I think we all have the ability to do that. We just need to stop pushing. We need to stop making it, trying to make it be something that somebody else deems it should be. And, the work that I want to be doing is helping people create the resources that they have into these libraries, into these, um, I mean, just like receptacles for their own work, their own experiences, and not that it needs to be created into something specific, but they learn how to work with it so they could. So it tells them what it needs to be, or they could mold it into something. But the biggest part of all of this, it's wrapped around my tried and new process, which I used to call a content audit, which once I took myself through it, I was like, this is clearly not a content audit. And that is its own concentric circles. And it's about going back and looking at what you already have and taking it through this editing process of what stays, what goes, what could be upcycled, recycled, what could be given away, what could be sold, and then filling those buckets. Once you have those things, you can't unsee what you've already accomplished. So it kind of kicks imposter syndrome out the door because, anything that you're looking at doing, you you see it differently. You don't feel like, oh, I can't do this, I'm too old, or I'm too this, or I'm too that, and who am I? And all of that comes up. But when you have the evidence of course I could do that because I've already done it. I've done it twice, I've done it 3 times, I've done it 10 times, I've done it for the last 10 years. It was just called something else. When you have that evidence, the imposter syndrome just fades away because you can do it, so you could do anything. And with technology moving so quickly, and people in our age category, I'm just going on an assumption here, but I'm 61, very soon to be 62, and I'm not anywhere near ready to stop. I'm planning out the next 30 years of being relevant. um, and it's possible. It's absolutely possible. And if we use AI properly, it's going to be the easiest thing that we've ever done because we have all of this experience that we could pull forward and we can have that lead the way. And that's, again, another concentric circle. And then in the middle of all of this, what do I decide to do? Redesign my entire house to take over an office. So that became a concentric circle too. Like, I'm going to take over my son's bedroom. That's that circle of him. He's not coming back. He's launched. He's in his own life. He's doing his own thing. So what does that mean? That means now I have an office. I can reclaim my dining room. My basement is now a guest suite. I did all of that in 2 weeks, and in the middle of doing all of this. So if you're waiting for an email from me, it's coming. But all of these concentric circles are happening at the same time, and it's just so interesting to see where the touch points happen. And I've always been one to have to do everything. I'm the fixer. I'm the one that controls everything. But I stopped and I just let things happen. And it's been really an amazing experience. And I'm just getting started here on Substack, and I'm looking forward to creating these circles over here where I can go out and meet new people and find the communities and then introduce my community into these new communities and grow in that way. Starting in April, April 7th is going to be the first interview that we start live streaming here on Substack every Wednesday at noon. And I'm really excited about that too. I'm dropping Facebook because nobody comes through Facebook, and I use StreamYard to live stream the interviews, and it crashes. I was actually interviewed twice in the last couple of weeks, and Facebook crashed for those two hosts as well. So I don't want to keep putting the effort over there because with those crashes, Facebook is literally telling me, we don't want you over here. Go someplace else. So this is that someplace else. And what I want to do is I want to call out some people because throughout this whole 15 days, I've been mentioning people that are part of the 50 over 50 community. But I want to go and I want to mention the core people. These are the people that that were that are my core, and they were kind of like, the base of how this all started, because when I realized that this was something I wanted to do, that was my list of 50. That was the people that I reached out to. And there's a couple that I really want to call out, because without them, none of this would have happened, because they all had some kind of significant impact in my life. So I'm going to start with somebody who she passed away in December. She was one of my closest friends. She was a client. I was her client. She helped my son. She was an integrative hypnotist. Her name's Stephanie Delfonso, and she was with me every step of the way. The first interview that I did, the woman called me a half an hour before the interview that her dog had gotten very sick and she couldn't do the interview. Her dog eventually passed away that day, sadly. But I called Stephanie and I was like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?" And she said, "Well, I'm going to interview you." So that's what she did. She interviewed me, and that was the first interview. So she has been like a sister to me for many, many years. And then the next comes a pair. I met these two women in 2012 in a coaching community, and we all lived in the same area. So we decided we would just start to do the work together, and we started this little thing called Trey Brilliance, which we still do. We get together. Now it's on Zoom because we're living in different areas. But Terry Getz and Phyllis Harbinger, um, again, they've been clients, they've been friends, they have helped me in so many ways. When I turned 50, Terry threw me a surprise 50th birthday party and had my son, like, steal email addresses out of my computer. And Phyllis has several times when I was really like short on money, she just hired me. She's like, I know you're not going to let me give you money, so I'm just going to hire you. And she just hired me to do things when I really needed some extra cash. And they've always been there. They've been tremendous friends, and we've always helped each other. And they were both interviewed on Real 50 Over 50. And then Jeannie Spiro. Um, she invited me early on to speak to her clients, and I would go to her events and speak to her clients. And some of these people are on this list to this day. They are some of my closest friends, clients, colleagues, and women that I've interviewed. They're absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to just segue into a couple of those. Nicole Lewis Keeber is a business therapist, and she has been trained by Brene Brown. She's worked on Brene Brown's team, and she helps people not bring their childhood trauma into their businesses. And she helped me with that too, because I had a boatload of childhood trauma just waiting to be brought into my business, and she helped me untangle that. And another person is Tina Walsh. Tina is a healer, and Tina helped me reconnect with my inner child and reparent myself, because I was never properly parented. She brought me back into in utero, and I heard my mother say that I was going to pay for ruining her beauty and making her husband leave. That's pretty deep stuff. And it changed my life. Another person I met in that room from Jeannie is Lisa Danforth. Lisa Danforth taught me that I do have boundaries. I didn't even know what they were. Now test me. I'm good. But Lisa has taught me so much, and she has recently rolled in human design into her services. And she taught me about my human design, which has really solidified my boundaries. There's so much crossover between the boundaries and the human design, and understanding the way you're wired and what you're meant to do and what you're not meant to do. And that has been absolutely life changing. Let's see. Let me see if there was anybody else from that room. That's it from that room. But then there is Laura Clark. Laura Clark, I met around the same time that I met Terry and Phyllis. That's got to be 2012. And Laura Clark told me that I needed to learn how to cry. And she was right. I never cried. And I've learned how. I still don't like it, but I did, and interviewed her as well. Another person that has been like responsible for this is Adrienne Garland. Adrienne Garland has this company called She Leads Media, and she hosts events. She's got a podcast, but she does she helps women. Um, she does a lot of the same work that I do, but we do it differently. And she's always invited me to speak at her events, to be part of her community, and that has opened up so many opportunities for me. And she's been so incredibly generous and such an example of collaboration over competition, because we could go head to head, and we help each other. And because we do kind of different parts of the same coin, we really can help each other because we understand the work that we do. Let me see who else do we have here. Tina Forsyth. Tina Forsyth was, when I started my business as a virtual assistant, she was my first client who was not a VA client. And I had decided that I was going to change everything before I went to an event. And Tina hired me at that event to help me market her book. And that had to be 2011 or so. And she also started the whole online business manager roles, and she's been, training online business managers for decades. But when I first found her, I was like, oh, maybe I want to be an online business manager. And I kept watching her webinars and like almost hitting the button, but I was like, I don't want to do that. But we have stayed connected all of these years. But that really helped. Another person is Pam Slim. Pam Slim, I hired her for a strategy session years and years ago. And first I went to one of her events when she was doing her community building events, and I sat in the front row, and I was just like this the whole time. Because everything she was saying was everything that I'm saying. And I believe so much in the way that she does marketing and the way that she builds community. And she has referred me to her clients, and that level of trust is always, it's important. And and now she's working on a book about remembering, so we're always kind of like on the same track. And she's absolutely brilliant. So that's such validation for me that if my work is mirroring what she's doing, that I'm doing something right. Um, Let me see who else I have here on this list. Um, okay, so Lori Seymour. Lori Seymour, I only met a little over a year ago, but we had this connection. I don't even know how to say it. I don't know how to put it into words, but we help each other. Like, she knows when I need help, I know when she needs help. And that's what we do for each other. And she has also recommended countless women, introduced me to countless women to be part of this whole 50 over 50 thing. And then I'm going to wrap up with, I think this is the last one. Let me just check. Yeah, the last one is Carolyn Herforth. And Carolyn Herforth and I met in a different community, probably it's got to be, 10, 12 years ago. And I instantly liked her. She had this shock of white hair, like white bleached hair, and tall and smart, and has like that look on her eye, like she's got a glint. And we hit it off immediately. And I was about ready to launch my program, well, relaunch my program. And the first time I launched it, the whole thing fell apart because it was put together with spit and glue. And I hired somebody to, oh, actually, there's one more person. Okay. So I hired somebody to help me rebuild it so it wouldn't fall apart. And I was afraid to hit the button and sell this thing. And I was on a little like round table with Carolyn, and we were talking about what we were working on. And Carolyn just said to me, if I have to take the train up to your house and make you slam your finger on that button, you are launching this thing. And I did, and I made $30,000 in a day. So I would have never known what that felt like. And now I have the evidence that that's possible. And it's happened more than that. It's happened since then. So I always know I could do that. And, and then the last person that I'm going to mention is Kim DeYoung. And Kim DeYoung is the person that I hired that day to rebuild my whole spit and glue version of how I built my platform. The content was good. It was just the container was terrible. So she rebuilt everything in like a week, and I was able to put this up for sale. And I ran that for like 5 years and had hundreds of people go through it. And now a lot of what I'm building now is it comes from that, from what I built in 2012. And Kim has remained a close friend, um, and colleague, client. We've just been in each other's lives for a long time. So those are my people. Those are the core. Those are the core circle that started all of this, and everything is growing around it. And from that, there have been such beautiful connections. I sent a connection this morning. Somebody needed a website. I sent her. I connected them. But there have been such beautiful connections of people interviewing each other, working together, just meeting up because they live near each other, connecting because they're traveling to the same places. And every time I see that, I am like, okay, this is why this is happening. And none of it is planned, none of it is contrived in any way. It's just those circles. So I want to thank you for being part of this 15 days. Everything is there. You can go back, you can watch them, you can read the articles. I've tagged women in all of these posts, everybody that I've mentioned, so you can go and you can learn more about them, connect with them. Some of them are on Substack, so you can connect with them on Substack. More of them will be on Substack if I have anything to do with it. And I just want to wrap up with, I have three different levels of subscription for my Substack. One is free, and I will always share tons of free content. There is the monthly and the annual, which is $8 a month or $88 a year. And I share a couple of guides, and we've got, we're going to start doing monthly chat streams in there, and there'll be some other things. But the place that I really want to build community around is the founding member um, tier, and that is $300 for the year. And we're kicking it off next Friday, April 3rd, and then again for day two on April 10th for a workshop called the LLM of You, where we'll go through um, the entire tried and new process and then build out these living libraries in Google Notebook LM. And then we're going to do things like that throughout. I'm not building a lot of content in advance because everything is changing so quickly, and I want to build what people need. So there will be a couple of like foundational guides in there. There's already one for how to set up your Substack. It's got like I went through every single setting, and included all the things that you should think through as you're setting it up. I'm going to create another one on monetization and another one on connection. And other than that, I'm just going to build what people need. So it will have lots of workshops, lots of guides, lots of connection and community, and the Real 50 over 50 interviews will be um, um, hosted there and available to everybody. So that is what I'm building here. I'm super excited about it. Please connect me with other people. I will be doing the same. And thank you for taking 15 days to be here with me. I appreciate you. Have a great Friday and a great weekend.